Welcome, my friends, to Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat, the podcast that never ends, where we gather our clan and talk about the peace and love in our lives, the difficulties along the journey, and how we rise up from them. We will experience a little thing I call Kluberty together, and by the end of the show, we're going to find our sweet spot. I'm Uncle Dave, and our transformation starts right here. Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Today's guest is going to be somebody who's going to bring us some energy, high energy. Jessica H. Real. How you doing today, Jessica?
I am amazing. Thank you so much, David, for having me on today. I'm really, really excited to be a part of this, a part of your show, and just to be here in general. It feels great. Thanks.
Yeah, I know. We've spoken, and you have high energy. We're going to talk about some energy work that you do. You have a challenge coming up. You have a couple of challenges going on. So yeah. I'd love to hear about the challenges, the good, the bad, and the ugly of being on challenges or being in a challenge. So what brings you peace and love? Let's start it off that way.
So, yeah, when you first asked me that question, it spoke to my values and really what is important to me, because I feel that when you are in congruence and in alignment with your values, that's where peace and love can really come from. So one of the things that I value most is health. And when I'm in full alignment with the health of my body, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, that's when I start to see more connections, more just love and blossoming. You know, that's when I'm connecting with my children more and I feel great. And it's just, everything just falls into place. So.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly where, when things align, it really just takes it to the next level. What do you do to keep yourself in alignment? Because we don't. I mean, there's a balance, right? It's that fine balance. I mean, I see the water in the background, the mural in the background behind you, and it's, you know, I used to talk about running on the rocks in Sheepshead Bay, where where I grew up, and I could run now. Like now, I wouldn't even try running over the rocks. You don't think about it, the balance that you have. So in life, we also have the balance. How do you keep your balance going?
Well, it is certainly a challenge, and I definitely use lots of different modalities. But as you can see, yes, the water. We grew up on Long Island, so I had the water around me my whole entire life. I spent summers down by the beach. And so water being around it has been such a huge part of my life. So that definitely helps with my balance. But of course, drinking the right water helps me balance. Excuse me. So I always say it all starts with the water. Being a holistic wellness and water specialist, that is one of my favorite things to talk about. But some of the other things that I do to keep balance, and I think the key to all of it is really bringing awareness to what is going on in your life. And some of the strategies that I have used to find that awareness is meditation, yoga, eating a balanced holistic diet, really being mindful of the things that I say and the words that I use when talking about myself or talking about other people. I always try and catch myself all the time. So it's really a lot of it is around the awareness of what I do on a daily life, in my daily life, that helps me maintain that balance. And of course, there's a whole slew of other things, like having goals and challenges and things to really help you stay motivated and focused on a daily basis.
Well, let's start off just with the holistic piece. How'd you get involved in that? Well, because, most of us don't. We grew up on Long Island or New York. New Yorkers are not necessarily the most holistic people in the world.
No, well, my story is, I'm finding more and more common than most people believe, but I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder back in 2009. And I was your typical Long Islander. I lived at 7-Eleven. I ate fast food. I was obsessed with those energy drinks. I just had to have my coffee 2 or 3 times a day. That was my lifestyle. And I didn't really know any different until I got sick. And that's when I started to realize that things needed to change, not only in my life, but in society as a whole, because we were being taught how to live a certain way, but it's not really conducive to a healthy lifestyle. Like it's great for the immediate satisfaction, but if you want to live a long, healthy life, you're not going about it the right way, unfortunately, because it's going to end up with disease and problems and issues. And that's what I found. And so when I was diagnosed in 2009, I was going to traditional medicine doctors, as we do, right? You get sick, you go to the doctor. That's what you do, right? That's what they teach us. They tell us. And the doctors really didn't give me the information that I needed to heal myself. They said, take this medicine, be on your way, and research it. And the more I learned that first year, and I went to multiple different doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with me, I had learned that I had a disease that didn't have a cure, that the doctors didn't know how to fix me. And they were just giving me different medicines that might work. And I'm like, this is not good. And then they told me they wanted to take out my colon. Like, no, I want my colon. I like my colon, please. They told me I was going to need a colostomy bag for the rest of my life. And I was fairly young at the time when I got the diagnosis. And it's been, years since. And I could say I'm in remission now, but it was not from traditional medicine. It was because at that point, I realized that those doctors were not going to help me. They couldn't. They didn't know how. So I started going down the holistic route, and I started to see different types of practitioners like acupuncturists, chiropractors, naturopaths, trying out different types of supplements and enzymes and therapies. And I just went down that road. And over the years, it took quite a while. I want to say, 2009 was my diagnosis, and it was 2015 that I had my last flare, my last serious bout, where I was in the hospital. And that was due to the traumatic birth of my first daughter. Before that, I was doing fairly well. The pregnancy went really well. My symptoms had subsided. And some say it could have been from the hormone change. I don't know. But then after she was born, I got really, really sick. And when I was in the hospital, I said, that's it. This is going to be the last time. And I can honestly say, I have not been sick like that ever again. And I won't. I won't. I will do everything in my power to heal myself. And I've been very successful since then. I'm in remission. I'm not on any medication. I drink the best water. Yeah, it's great. So
that's exactly, it's one of those moments we talk about here, about the Phoenix moments, and drink. So, one of the things that you do, because you mentioned about the holistic work, and we'll get into that, but let's talk about that water, because I know you had mentioned even earlier that you're a holistic and water specialist. What does that mean?
So I am studying to be a holistic coach. I'm looking to announce my coaching program by the third quarter of this year. So I've been putting that together because it's based off of everything that I have learned, over the decade plus that I've, been going through this and learning and doing all these techniques. But through my journey about 3 years ago, I was drinking alkaline water in the bottle constantly, because it was the only water that I felt really hydrated me. And I don't know if it was the sodium bicarbonate or what, or the pH of the water that really helped me, but I felt that it was hydrating me more than regular tap water. And I didn't want to drink tap water to begin with, because if you live out here in New York and Long Island, or pretty much anywhere in the United States, there are so many chemicals and toxins in the water. And a lot of people do know this. Some people don't. They think we have great water. And the more research I do on it, the more that I found that our water is very, very harmful to our health. And here I am with a health issue, and I have to maintain that balance. So the more I studied and learned about the water, I ended up partnering with a water ionizer company. And now I actually have partnered with two companies, a water filtration and a water ionizer company. And I help people basically get the best water in their homes, all across Long Island and globally. So it's nice.
That's awesome. Not only did it start out from taking care of yourself, but now then you started partnering and figuring out to live a more healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
So you said you're having a program. What type of program do you have that you're going to be rolling out? Because right now you're in the middle of a challenge, right? You're putting out a challenge out there. So why don't you tell us about the challenge first?
I have I'll tell you, ever since I became an entrepreneur about 3 years ago and took control of my life, and you talk about a phoenix moment. That was a phoenix moment for me, if I've ever had one, even after, with my diagnosis and everything, because I completely changed my life and I started different programs. So through my journey of learning what it meant to be an entrepreneur, owning your own business, having that connection and really being of service to your community. I never really understood that. They don't really teach you that in school necessarily. They teach you to have a job, not to be of service and to give back. And so through that process of personal growth, I started doing these challenges. One of the challenges that I did was called the 108-day yoga challenge. And so this is 108 days of sun salutations. And so it works like this. Day 1, you do 1. Day 2 is 2, 3 is 3, and it's cumulative up into 108 days. I did this for a couple of reasons. One, I found yoga helped me physically. The HIIT trainings, all of those high intensity trainings are great. They really, really are. But when you're struggling with high inflammation like I do on a regular basis, you need to have something that is less intense, basically, but still is really working your body, getting the blood flowing. And I found that yoga was a really good solution for me to do that. And this yoga challenge, the sun salutation challenge, really helped with that. And the first time I did it was in 2021. And God, I was just talking to my girlfriend about it, how amazing I felt when I finished this challenge. I had energy. I was physically fit. My body looked great. I was like, this is the best, and it was in the middle of the summer that I was doing it. So it was really, really amazing. And it was also a challenge on my mind and trying to be consistent with something on a regular basis, because I think that that's the key to just about anything outside of the awareness is the consistency.
Sure.
And if you can teach yourself to be consistent with something, even on a small scale, you're going to see the most growth in your life with just about any area. And that was one of the lessons that I learned from it. And so I decided starting today, I'm starting it again, 108 days. And it's going to take me into mid-June.
Okay,
so very excited.
Why 108? What is there a significance to that date? And what do you mean by the sun salutations?
Okay, so a sun salutation in yoga terms is basically a sequence of moves. So you start off in, prayer move, and then you do kind of like a forward fold bend, and then you go back into what we call downward dog, and then you have it's like upward dog, downward dog, then back to the folds, and then back to the prayer. It's a sequence of moves. If you check me out on Facebook, you'll see me posting it. I've posted a few times, but it's a sequence, I think, of it's 12 moves, I'm pretty sure. And some of them kind of repeat through the cycle. And that would be one cycle. So
okay.
If it was 1, that'd be 1. If it's 10, you do it 10 times.
So in a way, it's like the burpee challenge. Like it's, you do one, but this is a sun salutation with yoga. So what would be the difference of that?
What do you mean the difference?
Well, with yoga. So you're really more focusing on yourself. And then sounds like it's easier to do than some other challenges because of your physical challenges at times. So this is an easy way. So that's what I wanted to bring out, that this is an easier way to do some movements, but to be focusing within yourself. Because I'm sure that's really what is that how you see yoga, as the internal view of things.
Yes, and I look at yoga as a very mindful practice that incorporates strength training as well. Because one of the moves, you're essentially going into a plank. And then you have to do a push-up. And it's like, okay. And I remember when I was first doing it, and I said to this yoga instructor, I said, I don't know if I'm doing this right. It's just really, really hard. And she goes, no, you're not doing it right. You got to keep your elbows in and do it that way. And I was like, oh, okay. And when I first started out doing it, I couldn't actually do a push-up. And now I could do it with ease. So I'm really excited to see what's going to come of it after this. So there is strength training in it. It's not excessive and it's so subtle, but at the end of it, you come out of it with this clarity. Plus, it's a consistent thing. So think about some of the like chores or something that you would do where you don't really think about it. You just do it. it creates a presence of mind. It creates you in this very present state. And that's one of the most important things, again, that you can add to it. So you have your awareness, you have your consistency, and now you're being present here and now. I'm not depressed, sad about the past, and I'm not anxious about my future or about how many I have to do. I'm just doing them and counting them and knowing that it'll be done eventually, especially when you get into the 50s. It starts to get a little, all right, how many more do I got? Okay, I'm just going to just keep doing it over and over and over. And it teaches you and trains your body and your mind to be present and strong.
Well, that's where the growth really comes into is the fact that doing it consistently. By doing that, it's not doing 50 push-ups on the first day. It's actually building yourself up and building that bounding, that strength. Because you never know what you could do, and that's why it's always really important to look back at where you're at. So it's really, if the first day is a struggle, I'm sure by the 15th it becomes less of a struggle, and as you start doing more and more things to include yourself, then it becomes less and less of a struggle because you've already built up that strength.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've had this conversation with quite a few people about the challenge itself. And they're like, 108, I couldn't do that. I'm like, you can if you're doing it cumulatively. Right. Because just like you said, by the time I get to day 15, I'm like, I got this. And then when I get to 30, I'm like, okay, I could do 30. That's not a problem. And again, it's not really that tiring when you're building up to it.
Right.
And it's just, it's a really great challenge. It's a fun and intense challenge. Kind of the time frame is really what gets me the most, is because it's almost, if I do it the way I like to do it, each sun salutation is a minute. Mm-hmm. So when you get to 30, it's almost 30 minutes. Right. When you get to 60, it's 60 minutes. So it's like, okay, at that point, I have to allot that time physically in my schedule to do this. And one of the things that I noticed the first time around was that I couldn't do it in the morning. I was running out of time. And I was getting frustrated with myself. So I'm like, okay, now I need to identify that, become aware of the frustration here. How can I adjust that? Not be so hard on myself. If I can't do it in the morning, I'll just do it in the afternoon or do it in the evening or just do it before I go to bed, just get it done and then I'll be done with it. And the first time around, I did really well until I want to say I got into it was 88 or 89. And that was when the real struggle set in. Because at that point it was over an hour and a half. And I'm like, okay. And it gets tiring. And then I had personal things going on in my life at that time. So it just made it even more challenging. I ended up skipping, I want to say the last week. And then I did the last day. And I was like, all right. So now this time I want to see if I can make it through the entire challenge without stopping, without missing a day.
Yeah, it's tough. That time management piece has got to be a little bit tough. And see, I would worry that I'd be counting and I always lose count. I mean, I got to tell you, when I do sets of working out, I now have my gems. So I'm always putting one on one side, so that way I don't count. I'm 108. I'm I would lose count probably. But part of it is also the intention. So do you believe that the intention of the work that you're doing, not only the amount? So if let's say you forgot and you lost track at 90, but the intent was for healing and energy work, would that be just as good?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the intention of stepping into that space and doing the work. And so you make a mistake. And we were actually talking about this right before the call. It's that perfectionism. You got to let go of the perfectionism and just understand that this is a challenge, right? For me, I understand that there are going to be things like remembering that is a challenge. It's part of it. It's all of those little elements that add up. And how are you going to react to that? Are you going to react? Are you going to respond? Are you going to beat yourself up and be like, I lost the number again. I don't know what number I am on, and, give up. I'm done, or are you going to continue and be like, you know what? I'm going to make a number up. Last one I remember is 13, so I'm going to go with 14. That sounds good. Or, you know what? I'm going to skip ahead. I don't care. Just, yeah.
Well, so I think that's the perfect part is.
What happened?
Okay, something just popped up. That's why. Okay, so we'll cut that part out. Well, yeah, I was like, well, because you disappeared on the. Okay, so that's fine. On the video, it'll be a little mess.
Okay.
But that's part of that perfectionism, right? But give yourself permission, and I'm sure you give yourself permission at times. Or how do you give yourself permission? Because we did talk a little bit about perfectionism beforehand. How do we give ourselves time? How would you suggest to people to kind of give themselves permission and time to do the things they need to do in the pace they do without giving up? I mean, persistence is something that's really important as well.
Yeah. Well, there's a few elements to that. First and foremost, it's discipline. You have to discipline yourself and know that this is what I'm getting into. I know that I am doing this, so I need to take it seriously. It can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do it whenever. No, I set out to do this challenge. I'm going to take it seriously. So I'm going to set my alarm clock and I'm going to get up in the morning. And so that's a big part of it. The other part is your why. Why am I doing this? I have goals. I mean, right here, I have my goals on the wall. And this one says, I'm so happy and grateful to be fitting in all my favorite clothes with ease because I'm healthy, fit, and toned. That's one of my goals. And by setting those goals and sticking to them and aligning myself with my values of fitness and health, that helps me get up every single day because I know even if I don't want to get out of bed and I'm tired, that if I do this, I'm setting myself up for success. If I do this, I'm going to feel amazing. That's just, it's connecting all of those dots and going, okay, this doesn't feel great. I accept that. Thank you for telling me this doesn't feel great right now, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Right. It's challenging yourself even when it doesn't, when you're stepping outside of the comfort zone or to push yourself what you want. I mean, I wrote that in my book where I was with somebody, with my friend. He was walking up and he wasn't physically fit, but he wanted to get to the top of the mountain. And even though I gave him that permission to turn around if he wanted to, he didn't want to. It was that perseverance by pushing ourselves through, knowing because it really is all about us. So it's your goal. You might be with somebody on a walk, but it's really your walk, and that's really important to think about it that way. Is that no matter what you're doing, you're cheating yourself. You're not cheating anybody else. If you did 5 push-ups instead of 6 that you were supposed to do for that day, or the sun salutations. You're not cheating anybody. So if you did more, you do more. If you do less, you do less. And some days you might not feel like it. And that's okay as well. It's not a have-tos. It's what you want to do and keep improving each day.
Yeah. I love when you said that. It's about honoring yourself and the decisions that you make. But there was a day, I think it was the first day I skipped. I intentionally said, I'm not going to do this today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
I'm just not going to do this today. And it's not going to stop me from continuing my challenge. But my body, my brain, everything is telling me I need to rest today. And I did. And it was somewhere in the 50s that I actually skipped my first day. And I said, you know what? I'm okay with that. And I was okay with that. And I think that's one of the other biggest challenges that you can confront is really not being so hard on yourself and being aware of, how you feel and what your needs are.
That's the most important part, is actually not being hard on yourself. Don't punish yourself because of, if you didn't do something, okay, you could do it tomorrow. If you're really that motivated, then start from day one. You're allowed to listen to your body. How do you listen to your body best?
Well, that takes a lot of practice.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'm trying to figure out the right answer. How do I listen to my body? Again, it's the awareness. Most importantly, it's not dismissing what's going on. If my lower back hurts, it could be multiple different reasons. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not hydrating enough and I'm feeling a little constipated or something, or maybe I'm stressed out about something because that's where I hold a lot of my stress. And just understanding that I'm feeling something, so that's an indication of something. And to take a minute just to stop and listen to that. Be like, okay, well, what could that mean? What could it be? Not to just ignore it, be like, oh, I have a headache, whatever, no, like there's a reason why this is going wrong. And I think that's how I got into holistic health to begin with. When the doctors were telling me, and this is kind of what we're taught in society. They tell you, oh, there's something wrong with you, just Band-Aid, fix it and move on. But you're not listening to your body. You're not listening to the problem. You have a symptom. That means there's a problem. And where there's a problem, there's a solution. You just have to do a little investigation, sit with it, be with it, listen to it, and see what you find out.
Yeah, and listen to your body. I mean, that's where we have to trust ourselves to know what it is. Listen to your body, how you feel. Like I hold my stress all on my neck and my shoulders, so I know now. I never paid attention to it, and until I did, now I know when my back's starting. It could be just posture, but other times I'm like, okay, I know what's going on, all the things that I'm feeling, and how do I address that? And that's the important part.
Yeah. Yeah. It's bringing that awareness and just sitting with it for a second, being okay with it. And I feel as I was a child, I was taught a very different story. And I don't know why we were taught that story, but I think now more and more people are starting to open up to this realization of, okay, it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to not feel so good sometimes, and just to listen to that and kind of just be with it.
Yep. No, I think that's the best thing is sometimes just acknowledge where you're at.
Yeah.
So one of the things I enjoy talking about is kind of stepping into the magic garden. And, you have a lot of gems and seeds that you plant along the way. So I'd love to kind of ask you, what's a seed that you'd like to share with the audience that might not grow today, but if they nurtured it, would grow into something beautiful?
That is a beautiful question, and I'm not really sure how to approach it. So something, when you say a seed, do you mean just something to elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah, sure. No problem. Well, so like your yoga, right? So it could be part of your yoga or some of the other holistic things that you do. You do something once, it doesn't necessarily stick, right? You have to keep doing it over and over again. That repetition, that consistency. So I think you have another challenge also besides the sun salutation challenge. What other challenges are you doing or thinking about creating?
Well, I have quite a few things going on right now. So I have a women's talk, which I didn't tell you about earlier. But I'm very excited to be doing this intimate conversation. It's going to be an in-person event in Port Jeff. So I'm very excited about that. And it's around holistic wellness and well-being simplified. So me and two other hosts are going to be speaking and having a conversation. So that's something that I've been working on. And for me, this is about sharing, again, about the solutions that I have around your health, around holistic wellness, and really specifically, again, around the water. And if there was anything that I would tell anybody is listen to your gut. Trust your instincts and listen to your gut, and don't just listen to everybody in society and what everybody else tells you. I knew there was something wrong with my water. I knew it. I was drinking it all the time, and I knew there was something wrong, and I started looking into it, and I started testing it, and next thing you know, I'm finding out all of these wild things that I'm not going to go into details about it, but if you're interested and you want to know about your water, please definitely reach out to me. But when I changed my water, it changed my life. And I loved saying that and talking about it and teaching it and sharing with people because I trusted my gut and I trusted my intuition. And now I have this amazing vehicle that not only helps me, but I get to help people on a global scale.
Awesome.
And water is essential to life. We need water. When you are hydrated, your body can function properly. And when you're sick or you're struggling with any type of disease or illness or ailment of any kind, water is a fix. You got a headache, sure. Drink more water. You have a stomachache, drink more water. It's like, if you're tired, drink water.
Well, that's what people don't realize. So a lot of their illnesses, or even when you're feeling tired, as you just said, drink more water. You don't realize how much the power that water has, and the right water, not only just water, but the right water.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to touch on the water that I do drink, it's electrolyzed reduced water. This water is made as a antioxidant. So For a person like me with high inflammation, I need as many free radicals removed from my body as I can. And to do that, you need antioxidants. Antioxidants actually remove the toxins from your body. It's just a natural process of being a human and how our bodies function. And what I learned is that electrolytes reduced water is an antioxidant. So drinking this water literally heals me. It's not just hydrating me, but it's also healing me at the same time. When I started drinking this water, that's why I always say it starts with the water. It just changed me. Mm-hmm. It got me over that hump of struggle that I was constantly having with the inflammation, where now I can eat whatever I want. Before I couldn't. I had to really monitor my diet because I have a digestive issue. So I couldn't have gluten and dairy and all of those other things, because when I did, I would get really sick. Whereas now I can, not all the time, obviously,
right.
But everything in moderation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could. And I do attribute a lot of it to the fact that I am hydrating and cleansing my body on a daily basis.
That's awesome. Well, it's good that you found it, and hopefully people reach out. How can people reach out to you?
Just look up Water by Jessica. That's pretty much it. Go on social media, Google Water by Jessica, and you can find me across the board.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. We're going to wrap up this. We usually try to keep it about a half hour, but thank you so much. And we should all find out. And I'd love to talk to you some more about the holistic stuff. And we'll talk, because as you said, I think by the third quarter, right? So the fall.
Yep.
As things are falling, as the leaves are falling, you're going to be rising everybody up through your new program, so we could talk about that.
Yeah. So exciting. Thank you so much, David, for having me on today.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much for being our guest. And we definitely had lots of gems and lots of seeds that'll be growing with the water, right? With the right water.
Of course.
Okay. And everybody else, just remember, always find peace and love in your life. Build that peace and love, build that resistance. And when you need to swing a bat, make sure you hit your sweet spot and knock it out of the park. I'm really glad that you're enjoying our show. Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat is brought to you by Launchpad 516 Studios. Executive produced by David Chemetsky and George Andriopoulos. Music selections by James Grant, Zach Nelson, and James Gaither, and licensed through Storyblock. Sound effects and sponsorship music licensed through Epidemic Sound. Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat is hosted with Podbean. Subscribe to our show wherever podcasts are available. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and share with all of your friends. Follow us on Facebook at Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Follow me, Uncle Dave Chemetsky, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Clubhouse. You can find all those links and more info at davidchemetsky.com. For show ideas, feedback, guest inquiries, or just a chat, reach out to me at peacelovebringabat@gmail.com. For sponsorship and media inquiries, reach out to peacelovebringabat@lp516.com. Make sure to follow all the great podcasts produced by Launchpad 516 Studios. Today's journey has come to a close, my friends. I hope the seeds of peace and love continue to grow for each one of you. Remember that peace and love surrounds you and will assist you to rise again. But don't forget to bring it back for what you believe in. Namaste.